Okay, CNBC off. LB is live. Let's go. Welcome. What's up, Vladdy in here first? Gurwinder, Ginger, Tanuj, you're fourth, bro? You're usually the first one in here. Mo, Nilish, Hamza, BV Fit. Before you guys go out, get crazy for the weekend, let's go over a little bit of charts here. So for all the new members that joined today or this week or even last week, we have a bunch of pinned messages on the top right of the Discord. You click that little thumbtack that's on top and just read through them. Honestly, there's so much knowledge in those pinned messages from myself, from Ricky, from T, from Goldman Sachs. We've been doing this a long time. We've been very successful traders for a very long time. And we've been there, done that in the markets, okay? So just go through the pinned messages this weekend. Take a look at them again. Even if you've been in here for a while, look at them over again. There's a lot of people asking me questions. So all I preach, I will always preach, always, is you need to have similar position sizing. What do I mean by that? Position sizing can be different. So if I'm taking lottos, which expire the same week, those need to be a different size than if I'm taking calls that expire 3 weeks from now, or if I'm taking leaps that expire next year. So write down a number that you're comfortable losing. If it goes to 0, it will not affect you emotionally. It will not affect you in any way, shape, or form. And that should be the amount you're risking on your lottos. The other plays, equity plays, you can go heavier. Write down a number for that. You don't have to expect 0 for those, but you have to have a stop loss. Long-term leaps, you need to have a number for that. 1 month out calls, 2 month out calls, for example. Write down a number for yourself, okay? And just keep that number similar. It doesn't matter. So imagine I'm taking $5,000 positions every single day from Monday to Thursday. I come into Friday and I'm on a hot streak. On Friday, I see Amazon's about to rip, or Goldman Sachs, for example. Today, Goldman Sachs was about to rip. I'm like, I've been hot all week. Let me get a little heavier in this Goldman Sachs. So I get heavier in that Goldman Sachs. I put 30K in there and it goes to 0. That's my whole week is gone, okay? So that's why we preach similar position sizing for similar position lengths. So just realize that. Go through the pinned messages in Discord. Everything's written there. We all dropped our knowledge in there. So it's like a cheat code. Read that instead of a book. You'll be a better trader. So let's get on to the video now. If you guys have any questions, tag me over the weekend. I'll check it Sunday night and I'll try to get through as many as you can. So SPY just in a range all day. SPX. So we opened this morning on SPY. We opened at what did we open at? 442. 442.08 we opened. Today we closed at 442.51. So we moved a grand total of 40 cents the whole day. And you guys wanted action today? No bueno. Nothing moved today except for banks. We got some flows back into XLF. So SPY just struggled with the pre-market high all day, as you've seen. It just kept rejecting. Went over for a little bit, came back right underneath. Right? So completely sideways, nothing to see here. We move out a little bit. Let me get rid of these lines. They're really messy on the longer term charts. But yeah, so every single morning, wake up, check the pre-market, draw your levels, and those are like cheat codes. As Bucky knows, I've seen Bucky kill it with those. I've seen Dougal kill it with those. I've seen Tanuj kill it with those. So ask them how important those are, right? I'm going to go through Moderna as well, Zach, don't worry. So here's the daily chart for SPY. Everything's bullish. Everything's in the channel still. No direction. We're at all-time highs. This was the highest close on SPY ever in the midst of a pandemic with a second wave and a ninth lockdown coming. So it makes no sense, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to make sense. The market can stay... I forget the fucking word for that. The market can stay irrational longer than you stay solvent, okay? So if you have a bearish bias right now, just drop it, man. Just realize it, get rid of it, and trade whatever's happening in front of you. SPY closed at all-time high, broke out of that little range we've been in since July 26th, so everything looks bullish right now. Right now, if we do pull back on SPY, the first support should be that range that we were watching, which is around 441.80. So 441.80 is the first support. Second support is this 8-day moving average, which is 440.09. Third support is a 21-day moving average, 436.88. So any pullback, you should be watching those three levels. Other than that, everything looks absolutely fine on SPY longer term. QQQ. So QQQ, again, same in the range. Closed within the pre-market range. Not much volatility. Big dump here, but we bounced right back into the range and sideways for the rest of the day. Again, we opened QQQ this morning, which is the tech sector. We opened at 368.37. We closed today at 368.07. So we had a grand total of a 30-cent move in tech today. Yeah, this is a one of a kind hat. You're not going to get one. I'm sorry. All right, so QQQ, no movement at all. Longer term, just a bull flag breakout yesterday or 2 days ago. Let me draw that out for you right here. So we got a daily bull flag breakout, right? Last 3 days we've held on to it. We didn't come back down and retest the breakout yet. So let's see what happens. I mean, there's a bull flag. We need continuation though. On Monday, if we get a tech ripper, we should be at all-time highs quick. Other than that, a little bit increased bear volume, which isn't good, but we closed kind of at a doji. So let's see what we held the 8-day moving average, which is very important. 8-day moving average 366.87. The low of the day was 366.91. So it looks like we bounced off the 8-day moving average today on the daily, which I didn't catch intraday, but it doesn't matter because everything's all the same as well. It's still bullish, still in an uptrend. Everything looks good. XLF broke out of a huge range today. XLF, we've been watching this range since June 18th. We've had this range of 35 to 37. I told you guys there's no point playing longer term bank names until we break out one way or the other. Yesterday we closed above the resistance, which was a signal that we were going to continue upward. Today we gapped up and we just ran all day. Banks were super strong today, and if banks are strong, you know small caps are strong because IWM, a big portion of them is XLF. So in the morning we had that runoff, but then we cooled off and just went sideways for the rest of the day. So IWM held up much better than it did other days. IWM, we broke out of that wedge that I was talking about last Friday. So we had this very clear wedge, broke out today. Yesterday we bounced off, 2 days ago we bounced off the support of the wedge. Yesterday, huge bullish candle signaling continuation. Today we broke out, and there's a lot of volume here, but if we get above right here, this level right here, which is 226, if we break over 226, we could see a run in IWM back to all-time highs, but for right now, we're still in this massive range here. We've just been sideways all the way since like February of this year. We've been sideways on IWM, so I don't expect a big move yet, but if we do get it, it's going to have to go over 226 next week. Coinbase called out yesterday. We called out 300s for $2.20. Why did we call it out? Bitcoin was ripping. I don't like playing monster because the spreads are too wide. So I took the 300s. And also, there's coin earnings next week. So we might have a run up regardless of Bitcoin on coin. And I don't want to hold into earnings, but I've already taken off so much that it doesn't really matter to me. So just make sure if you follow my positions, if you're not scaling out, then don't blame me if the position goes to zero. That's all I'm going to say. 300 is a far way away. I mean, we have to get all the way over up here. But if we did close above this huge resistance, there's a lot of thin air above here. So next week, what I want to see from Coinbase is over 264, this thing runs straight to 300. So we could get, these options can go from $2.20 to $10 if we get the run that I expect next week. If we run into earnings and if Bitcoin runs over the weekend, that'll be the perfect storm in these calls. So I held a few, so let's see what happens. Zoom video, a little disappointing day today. I thought it was going to absolutely rip with all this COVID stuff. Market decided it was time for a breather for COVID names, and the market does what the market wants, right? Sometimes the market wants to run up shitty airline companies for no goddamn reason at all. That's what we did today. Banks went up. Why did banks go up, though? Why did banks go up? Do you guys know why? So Ricky called out these Goldman Sachs calls, 395s for 60 cents, same day expiry. Why did he call them out? XLF broke over 37. Banks were super strong in the morning. And then he called out the 395s for 60 cents. The reason the banks ran today, in my opinion, is that jobs number that came in was amazing. We actually crushed the jobs number. I think the estimate was like 700,000 something. The actual number was over 900,000, which means we have way more jobs filling than we expected. So that means they're going to raise rates. Interest rates should rise. If the economy is good, banks will raise numbers, okay? And if they raise the rates, the banks benefit the most because the banks make the most when interest rates go up. And that's exactly what happened. XLF, huge resistance break of 37, like I told you guys. And GS is the number one bank to play whenever the XLF goes. So he jumped in Goldman Sachs, made 500% in a day. Try to buy some equity. Let me know how long it takes to make 500%. Some people won't even live that long. 500% in a single day, okay? So the way that I see it, it's not no direct correlation, but the correlation that I made out of it was if the job numbers is good, that means the economy is getting better. That means the Fed can raise interest rates faster. When they raise interest rates, the banks benefit the most. That's why XLF went the highest today. So that's just my thinking. I think very differently, very weird. But obviously it came true because Goldman Sachs and the rest of the banks ran today. So congrats to Ricky. Congrats to everyone that followed him. Great call out. Amazing. As soon as I seen people calling out bank 0 DTEs, I went and got a haircut and massage. I was like, this is not my day. I don't trade banks. I don't really care for them. But congrats to everyone that traded them. It was a great, great call out. Going on Zoom video here again. All this COVID news, all this lockdown news, Zoom should be flying. But what did it do? All it did was consolidation. I mean, it ran straight from 348 all the way to 404, right? So that's a 60-point move in about a week and a half. So it just needs some cool down, some consolidation. Yesterday was a little consolidation. Today was some consolidation. Moving averages catching up. I'm still holding my calls for next week. Monday we should see a gap up in my opinion. Let's see what happens. If we get over 404, this thing absolutely rips all the way to 440 in my opinion. So over 404 close on ZM. Get ready for some craziness. It's going to go straight to 440. Keep an eye on that one. Moderna just consolidating again. I told you guys this thing ran 200 points in about 2 weeks. When a stock runs 200 points, it doesn't matter how hot it is, what's going on, whatever. It was super extended. I told you guys, look how far away from the moving averages we are. Whenever there's a huge gap like this between the 8-day and the 21-day, it wants to tighten up a little bit. So expect a little. So Moderna is a different case. It might just rip on Monday. But usually in a stock, what it will do is it'll consolidate either completely sideways or a little bit down here. All we want to see is we want to see a hold of 362, which is 50 points down. So all we need to see is a hold of 362. We need to see these moving averages catch up, and then we should see another round on Moderna. Not worried at all. The chart looks great. UPST, again, big ripper in the morning, does sell off all day. We're used to it. Keeps happening. This is a super tight chart. Like, it can't decide where to go. Closed above all the moving averages. I really wanted it to see it close above 135. We don't always get what we want. We got earnings next week. We already made a ton on this play. The rest I have are all for free, so I don't really care what happens. But earnings are on August the 10th, I believe. And that gives us 3 days today's 6th, 7th, 8th. We got next Tuesday should be the earnings. So Monday, let's see if we can get an earnings run before the earnings. And I'll get rid of them there, or else I'll just hold into earnings. They're all free anyways. I don't care if they go to 0. But the chart looks set up. Even if they crush earnings, I mean, remember that weekly candle I'm talking about, the huge 1 week move that's possible on UPST? That will most likely come next week. I'd say it has a 90% chance of coming next week. So let's see if they can beat earnings and guide up. I've seen their ads on YouTube. I've seen a lot of people getting the loans from them, so I expect them to crush earnings. NEO, complete rejection off $46 level. So we broke out of that wedge. There's a big volume shelf at 46, like you guys see here. Now it's moved down to 45.86. But 46, I'm just going to say 46. First day breakout, rejected 46. Second day, rejected 46. Third day, rejected 46. Fourth day, got over it and then pulled back again under 46. So on NEO, the only thing that matters is a close above 46. If it closes above 46, this thing can go insane. Look at the thin air up here. So it can move very freely up here. But right here, there's a lot of sell orders. There's some whale selling his shares at 46. So we just have to have a close over 46. I was watching MasterCard today. We got this very clear support here. Me and Ricky were talking about it earlier. We got a dump below, and then we got right back over, right? We closed above the 50-day here. I love that. Next, we have to close above the 8 and 21-day to prove that it's bullish. But right now, it's 3 days up in a row. So what I want to see is I want to see a pullback, retest this support, and then rip. Absolutely rip. Because if it comes down and retests this support, all the moving averages will be down, and then it'll cross them all together. So just keep an eye on MA. I'm going to draw this here just so you guys remember when it actually happens. You can be like, wow, I'll be your psychic. You're a psychic. Just like that. And these moving averages are all going to come down. And once it breaks, it's going to break all three all at once and rip. So that's what I'm looking for on MasterCard. Goldman Sachs, we already went over. Congrats again to everyone that made it That's 500%. That means if you took one call, or if you took 10 calls, let's say you bought 500. Fuck, man.
I opened up 20
Friday at 4 o'clock. Okay, so imagine you put $1,000 in the lottos and you sold them all for 500%. That's $5,000 in one day in one play. That's 500% return if you didn't scale out, which we do suggest you guys scale out. Amazon, just a complete turd this week. 2 false breakouts. It caught me once. The second time I didn't fall for it. These are the levels I have on Amazon, okay? If we close above 33.88, next time we close above 33.88 on Amazon, I'm going to be heavy and I'm going to expect 34.57 to come. That's the only thing that matters on Amazon. Nothing else matters to me. Unless we come down to test 3,300 again. If we go to 3,300, I will buy calls and expect it to go to 33.88. But if we also close above 33.88, I will buy calls and I will expect 34.57. So these are just the fib levels I have drawn for Amazon, and those are the levels I watch. All right. And one stock I want you guys to keep an eye on now. Tanuj, I know you're in here. You got some weekend homework, all right? There's one I'm watching. It's called Dawkin. It's a relatively new company. They had amazing earnings. They have amazing growth. They're a cloud company. I want you to look over it and send me your notes in the Discord, because this one is a potential long-term equity play. DOCN. All right, guys? Thank you guys for attending. As I said, go through the pinned messages in the Discord. There's a bunch of gold in there. And if you have any questions about it, just tag me, and I'll try to get to all your questions on Sunday night. And if I can't, I'll just tell Ricky to, like I always do. Thank you guys. Have a good weekend. Be safe. Don't party too hard.